Chapter 29. Omega Supreme destroyed 2 Decepticon gladiators before they had fully comprehended the fact that he was not destroyed. Wounded? Yes. His proto-form bore the marks of Starscream's missiles and the rest of the Seeker's armaments. But he could stand, and he could fight. He picked up 2 gladiators, each only 2/3 his size, and hammered them together until pieces started to come off them. Then he dropped them into the depths of the crater his impact had made, and he joined his fellow Autobots in their battle. Megatron drove the wavering gladiators forward. "Remember," he said to each and every Decepticon, "every death means more Dark Energon for you. And victory over the Librarian means Dark Energon for all, as much as you can consume. Now kill for me, Decepticons. End this war and capture Cybertron for yourselves." This speech, thundering out in the smoke and the chaos of the battle, rallied the deranged Decepticons even as the attacks from the Autobots tore through them. Megatron was right. Every time a Decepticon died, the Dark Energon from its body flowed out and then infused its nearest comrades, as if Dark Energon were somehow conscious, and sought to unify itself into one great pool that could power anything imaginable. The battle, so recently turning in the Autobots' favor, became a stalemate again, small groups of Autobots and Decepticons fighting in a deadlock at 2 points along the crater's rim. Ironhide and a Decepticon came together, and the force of their collision broke the weakened edge of the crater, catapulting them into its depths. Optimus Prime watched them fall until he could not see, then he fought forward, breaking the leg from a Gladiatorbot and leaping into the crater after Ironhide just as 2 other Deceptions leapt after their comrade. The 5 of them crashed together in a melee that ranged across the burning slag at the bottom of the crater. Optimus, merciless in the cold fury of battle, caught one of the gladiators as it sprang toward Ironhide, who had slipped on the treacherous footing. He bore the Decepticon to the ground, crushing it under his weight. It struck at his face with the energy spike that sprouted from its forearm, but Optimus Prime leaned inside the arc of the blow. He caught the Decepticon's head in both hands as its energy spike grated along the back of his neck, burning and sending a nauseating charge through his body, until he reared back and snapped the Decepticon's head from its body. The energy spike fell away. Optimus Prime looked up to see that Ironhide had already finished off the other 2 Decepticons. "Let's go," Optimus Prime said. They scaled the crater wall and re-emerged into the battle. And it was then, as Omega Supreme smashed through the massed rank of darkened gladiators, that Megatron outflanked him and smashed him down to one knee with a hammer blow that the Guardian never saw coming. The darkened gladiators fell upon him in a mass. Optimus Prime joined the battle, pulling one of them away, but so many of the gladiators had died that the Dark Energon concentrated in each of the surviving ones made them shockingly powerful. Optimus Prime and Jazz together barely dispatched the gladiator, with Jazz taking out one of its legs and then the 2 of them blowing it apart with ion cannon blasts. Ironhide waded into the mass of gladiators as well, suffering terrible damage and inflicting even worse. Yet it was almost as if every gladiator they dispatched made the others so much more powerful that transference of Dark Energon created defeat from victory. Omega Supreme crashed to the ground at the edge of the crater, setting off a small cascade of bits of landscape and destroyed Decepticons. 3 of Megatron's gladiators survived. Ironhide and Sideswipe caught one of them in a perfect crossfire, Ironhide's cannon striking fatally through its head after Sideswipe straightened the con up with a strike to the small of its back. Optimus Prime, Jazz, and Prowl struck simultaneously at the second, destroying it in the act of tearing loose a cable from the back of Omega Supreme's good leg. The third struck out with a hook chain, shredding the side of Ironhide's face. With a roar of pain startling because Ironhide was renowned for his stoicism and toughness, the bruising Autobot spun away and fell into the crater. The last Decepticon gladiator, brimming with the Dark Energon infusions of its dead fellows, sprang at all 5 of the remaining Autobots. Bumblebee caught it in midair, tumbling over backward as it lashed the chain over his back. Jazz and Prowl closed in, with sideswipe hanging back looking for the right shot. Optimus Prime turned back to Megatron in time to see Omega Supreme reach out and crush the skull of the last surviving Gladiator even as the other 4 Autobots attacked it. A swirl of dark energon appeared to spill from the dying Decepticon's head, only to twist back up and round Omega Supreme's arm on the way to Megatron, who inhaled it with a gasp. "Ugh," he said. "You, Guardian, will never know the pleasure." He drove his sword into Omega Supreme's back. Omega Supreme opened his mouth but made no sound. He swung an arm back, knocking Megatron to the edge of the crater. Optimus Prime took a step toward the falling Guardian, but Megatron acted first. Extending an arm, he blew the edge of the crater out from under Optimus Prime's feet, sending him downward once again, rolling with a small debris slide until he crashed into the obstacle of Ironhide. The Autobot veteran assisted Optimus Prime slide. Go get him," Ironhide said. "Can't see." Optimus saw the damage the chain had done to Ironhide's face. He looked back up to see the rest of his allies staring in shock at the sight none of them had ever imagined seeing. Omega Supreme lay unmoving, face down, one arm dangling over the unstable edge of the crater. He was alive, but barely, the glimmer of his spark was very faint. Megatron stood poised over the Guardian, blade against the back of his neck. "Shall I kill him?" he taunted the Autobots. "I came for something else, but if you press me I will kill him and then take what I want." From overhead came the sounds of Seekers, and a moment later Starscream and his 3 surviving officers landed, proto-forming as they touched down. "Always arriving right at the end, Starscream," Megatron said. "I didn't see you facing down the missiles up there," Starscream answered. "You wanted the Guardian. You have him." "Yes, I do. Lend a hand here," Megatron said. He and the 3 Seekers turned Omega Supreme over on his back, the Autobots looking on but unable to intervene. "Wait until you see what I plan, brother. I do not need to take Yakin if I can wait for Yakin to take itself. And I do not need to kill Omega Supreme because once I have what I came for, the killing part of the war will swiftly come to a close." Megatron reached into the body of Omega Supreme and tore free the plasma energy chamber. Omega Supreme spasmed and tried to rise but could not. He fell back, lying on his side, his life's fluids leaking from the holes Tom and blasted through his armored exterior. Megatron said, "First Sentinel Prime and now you, Guardian. You die so easily it is difficult for me to take any pride in the killing. You Autobots should learn that when you hide important things within your bodies, bad things are going to happen." He tucked the plasma energy chamber into both hands. "Optimus Prime, what do you have hidden within your body? Soon I will have my chance to find out, brother," Megatron proclaimed, holding it up. But Optimus ignored the taunt. "Sentinel Prime?" he said. "Oh, yes," Megatron said. "He is missing something I tore free of his body as well. Probably he is dead now, if not from losing the code key then from the collapse that accompanied the Guardian's awakening. I lost a number of fine soldiers in that collapse. But if you get to Omega Supreme immediately..." He shrugged. "Sometimes the unexpected does happen." Optimus Prime understood. He was being told that Omega Supreme might live if the battle ended now. And to make the decision a little easier, Megatron had fed him a tidbit about Sentinel Prime. Optimus had known Megatron for a long, long time. His former friend turned dire adversary was a skilled liar, but Optimus Prime knew the signs. He did not think Megatron was lying about this. He had come for the plasma energy chamber, and he had it. If the battle was over, and Omega Supreme survived, then the Autobots would have won the day, Optimus reasoned. The Decepticons had taken heavy losses. He could accept that, regardless of what Megatron wanted with the plasma energy chamber. The Autobots would have the plasma energy chamber back. Alpha Trion searches in the ancient comers of the datanet were beginning to bear fruit. A few more Seekers were beginning to defect to the Autobot cause. The times were dark, But Megatron was drunk with his success and with the pervasive effects of the dark energon. What would he and the rest of the Decepticons do when it ran out? How long before they would be tearing one another apart, especially with Starscream always ready to sow discord wherever he was? Megatron thought he was toying with the Autobots, but in his towering megalomania he had lost track of the idea that someone, or something, some phenomenon, could be toying with him. Optimus Prime pointed a blackened finger at Megatron. "Brother, you will find that dark energon is not the boon you believe it to be. And you will end up wishing you had never come to Iacon in search of the plasma energy chamber. Prowl, find Ratchet. With me, Jazz. The rest of you, guard Iacon," Optimus Prime said. He leapt back to the bottom of the crater and from there rushed through the sheared opening into the tunnels that would lead back into the center of Iacon. Behind him, Megatron outformed and accelerated away to the west. Of all the Autobots, only Bumblebee did not follow Optimus Prime. Moving at an angle away from Megatron's path, he stormed off into the wastes, assuming his outform and disappearing in a wash of rust particles that hung in the air behind him. He knew where Megatron was going.
I'm glad you enjoyed that video/gameplay. Just remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye!